Welcome to the Beacon. Welcome, Joey. Joey is a DoD contractor. He specializes in social media management. We're going to get into a couple different topics today, specializing in military health, like mental health, getting into time management and mindset. As always, though, Josh, let's start off with gratitude. Mm-hmm. What are you grateful for this week, and then some weekly wins?
So back on the grind for work, driving crazy amount of hours. I was on the road for 6.5 hours yesterday driving.
You're always driving.
So first and foremost, I'm grateful for my wife for being there, that I can have that opportunity to leave early in the morning and not get home till late at night. And she has the kids taken care of and dinner on the table for us. I'm also grateful for working during this time. I know a lot of people have been laid off or haven't been able to continue on with their work. And during this time I have been. So super grateful for that. And I had an awesome experience. So during New Year's, we had to put Freya in a kennel because she doesn't get along with our other big dog. So she's in there, and when she comes back, she's always panic stricken. You know, she was in there for 4 days. And I had just a really great experience with her last night. She came and laid on my chest, and we just kind of zenned out together for a while. And I don't know, it was like super peaceful, because when she comes back, she's always so startled, mm-hmm. doesn't really want to be around us. Like, she's kind of like upset in a way. Like,
you get a lot of enjoyment out of your animals.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, dude. You do.
Yeah.
They're always in your gratitude session.
Oh yeah. Are they? Yeah. You know, you would think it would be my kids, them too. But yeah, I don't know. Just last night really resonated with me with Freya after her harsh experience being in a kennel. I don't know. She just kind of warmed up, like, okay, I understand. Like, thanks for being here, Dad. But how about you, Tyler?
Me, just everybody that's surrounding me, a lot of support between family, guys that are working for me, Cody, Shane, they're crushing it with the bath business. Cody's actually starting his own thing. He actually started it. Joey actually helped him with some social media stuff.
Oh, nice.
So that's exciting, because, I wanted to push him to, do his own thing too, as well.
Yeah.
Because we can do both at the same time.
Exactly.
And then, the strong coach and, going through that process has been super huge on a lot of growth, huge with time management, particularly, is something that I've been able to really take to a different level. And then, like, weekly wins is just, we're starting the new year fresh already, and we're already on a good path going forward. And, we have jobs lined up for a couple months, and more just keep coming. So just going to let them keep flowing.
Right on.
What about you, Joey?
Yeah, so biggest thing for me, right? First child on the way, due this week or next week. So nervous and excited for that. Really looking forward to that. That's probably number one. Number two, so my wife and I, we bought a house last year during the pandemic, during the height of the market. We were able to get a beautiful house that was torn apart on the inside. I think you actually you saw the inside.
We did the shower.
Yeah,
me and Cody
did
the subway tile.
Yeah, which looks amazing. By
the only
way.
Tile shower I ever did and will ever do.
Yeah. But my wife's really been supportive in helping me manage my time, doing all these projects. So we have our nurseries done, our living space is done, our kitchen is almost 100%. So it's really starting to become a home. Awesome. And that's really great for me. It's great for us, really.
Yeah, right on.
That's having a child, dude, is an awesome journey.
Yeah.
I wish I would have enjoyed it earlier on. I waited a couple years before I really sunk in and really started to take it in. Mm-hmm. When they start to communicate with you, it's the greatest thing. And especially when you let them talk to you as they're on equal ground as you, that becomes really powerful. So yeah. I'm excited for you, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's scary a little bit, but it's exciting.
Yeah. And that's this week.
Yeah, this week or next week. So our due date is next Thursday. So we're at like any time.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
So if I sprint out of here, that is what I'm doing.
That's what.
Just answer the phone, and be like, hey, honey, you're gonna have to wait another.
Yeah,
hour. You're gonna have to another hour. Just hold it.
Right on.
Yeah. So, you specialize in social media management. So let's kind of go a little bit into what that kind of entails.
Yeah, so it really started. I joined the Navy back in 2015, and they were like, "Hey, you could do two things. You can be a nuclear engineer, or you can, make Facebook stuff." And I was like, at that point, I was like, "Well, I mean, the Facebook stuff sounds fun." So I had no idea what it entailed, but I was trying to change my life because I was doing IT. I hated it. Every day was a grind. And I wanted to find something that I was passionate about, right? Yeah. So I did that for one contract, and I actually started off videography, where I was just doing video almost 8 hours a day, just doing video, editing video, with no mindset for social media at all. Until a funny error, our social media manager accidentally copied the wrong link onto our official page, and I won't get too into it because it's a touchy subject, but let's just say a lot of people, an audience of 150,000 people, saw a very inappropriate link on an official military Facebook page.
Oh wow.
So
how long was it up for?
At least like 15, 20 minutes. And in that time, it got a lot of traction. It took off.
You were like, oh, check this out. Quick.
How do you like miscopy?
So he was doing it, and we were, I think we actually might've been out to sea, which is why it stayed up for so long, because the internet is like terrible when you're deployed. And he thought he was posting to his personal Facebook, and he had the wrong tab open, and he posted to the official Facebook. So.
Oh, wow, man! Like, I couldn't even imagine that conversation behind.
Sorry about that.
You posted that on like the actual government.
So anyway, so what happened with that is basically little like E3, like E4, soon to be. Not even testing for E5 yet. They were like, hey, you're really great at video, so how about doing social media? Spiraled out of control after that. Did a bunch of that. Did the distinguished visitor tours. So anytime we had like heads of state, stuff like that. And the military side of it didn't really like fulfill me, but the actual act of doing it all really fulfilled that spark that I was looking for.
It was like a passion for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Nice.
You enjoyed like the actual job of it.
I enjoy the job.
Yeah.
I enjoy the job.
Like the ranking system and how you have to like follow direct orders.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
But the actual act of it I was really passionate about it. So when I got out, I was lucky enough during the height of the pandemic, like right after the market crashed, the lockdown happened. I was lucky enough to actually get a position where I went through my training. But now what I do is I instruct civilians, like GS-12 and up, and then I do high-ranking officers, and then like NCOs. So people that do the Pentagon, the Space Force. A lot of people joke about the Space Force. They're standing up a bunch of social media offices.
Gotcha.
And basically what I do is I teach them how to use the algorithms to fulfill the DoD's mission.
Okay. Yeah. Get the word out, like bigger outreach.
Exactly.
To bring it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And so the main thing that I focus on, they're actually shifting me back into videography because that's sort of where social media is going. People like videos, people like visual stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, I teach them basically how to manage that, how to time their posts, how to ensure that their posts are being viewed for a certain amount of time, how to get that traction and that engagement.
Right on. So with that, are you able, or does time allow, or is this something where you can outreach and show it to other people? Like, or are you specifically contracted for the DoD, like you can't really do this on your own time, or do you have like your own business outside where you are helping other people do?
Yeah,
about it.
So I luckily, again, very lucky with my position. A lot of it is telework right now, and we're sort of. I've actually been sort of leading the charge of telling them like, hey, like I can do a lot of this when I don't have students in the building.
Yeah.
I can do a lot of this from the house. So I do have the free time. Cody, our mutual friend, I've been helping him with social media page for his thing. He just started up. So I do have time to do it. And I love doing that more.
Really?
I love doing it, like helping somebody build something.
Helping individuals.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
But I've actually been using most of my free time to get started on my second business, which I've been funneling all my free time into. So not a lot of time doing social media management, but sort of trying to set my family up for the future and hopefully.
And what's the second business?
So I do. I'm gonna sound like a finance bro real quick. I do crypto mining. So yeah, I do. I do Bitcoin mining.
My buddy's coming on next week to talk about that and like the digital land and stuff like that at NFTs.
NFTs. Yeah.
I just started with the digital land.
Dude, he's got like 60 horses.
Yeah.
I just started learning about it.
And he's like, I bought them when they were like $200-$300. They're now worth like $3,500 a piece. And it's
insane.
like, and like, I can't wrap my head around it because it's like just like this digital thing. But like, that's my mind. That's like my limited mind. But like the way he was going into it, it was like, ridiculous.
I don't get that deep into it. I just,
he was like deep.
So you're more into like crypto.
So that's like
currency.
That's my first business. And then what I'm trying to do now, so I do some subcontracting for like a proprietary trading firm. So basically I trade with their account and I get to keep a percentage of what I make. So that primarily is foreign currency, like stock indexes. So I don't trade individual stocks. I'll trade the entire S&P 500. And we do it, it's CFDs, so contracts for differences. So basically like we're buying like lots of like 100 to 1,000 at a time and then basically trying to find like an arbitrage in the middle where we can make a little bit of money trading the contract.
So the abundance of it allows you to create little footholds. Get that. But it's on a large scale system that you work with. So it's not like, I can just put $500 in here and make $25. It's like you're dealing with large.
So I mean, without going into details, it's pretty big because the thing is you're allowed more leverage with it. So you need less capital, but you still do. It's not one of those things where, especially in the professional side of things, it's not where you're looking for like 20-30% gains. Like we're looking for like 2.5% a week. Like, like
small.
But over time that adds up.
Large,
like there's a lot of people that do that, like that have that mentality because they're like, well, if I'm going to do this now, let me do this for the next 10 years. 2%, even doing 5% a month over the course of 10 years, you're going to be set. Like it's going to keep growing.
And that's the thing is people want to go and in the industry, without going too deep into it, the industry's full of scammers. Like a lot of people are really big scammers.
I get those people all the time messaging me and thing, and I'm like,
oh my gosh!
I'm like, you think I'm going to give you money
on the podcast?
They
Instagram.
get some people like,
on our Instagram, like our messages, like, hey, are you into Forex trading and all this kind of stuff? And I'm just like, leave us alone.
Well, that's like what my buddy was saying. Is he was saying that like there's like 98% of the people out there are like scammers, and like eventually like they're going to fall off. So it's like, really, it's just like getting lucky with the ones that aren't. Right?
Yeah. I can tell you this.
Have you ever did the Forex?
Yeah. That's what I do.
That's what it is?
Currency exchange. Yeah.
We'll talk after this.
But yeah, if you basically rule of thumb is if you see a guy with a Lambo in his profile picture, he's not making money off trading. He's making money off selling a subscription service.
Gotcha.
Like that's like the general rule.
That's incredible that you need that you say that because starting my business and like seeing that come into effect, like I have that all the time. Like there's guys like come like I don't know who's behind there. So the person that reaches out to me is like, look what I can do and blah, 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 blah. And it's like all the fancy clothes and all this kind of stuff. But then they're like, so you'll pay me $500 a week and I'll get you this, that, or the other thing. And it is like there's never, there's typically not a good return on investment. On those.
And that's one of the things with, so we're sort of talking about mindset that I've been trying to change myself because when I first got into it, I was of the mindset of greed. That was like where like my ego was.
Money.
Yeah, exactly. Because I got out of the military. I had a super high paying job. I had more disposable income than I've ever had.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, I started getting my disability money. So I was just like, I was rolling in it, and I was like, listen, like I'm gonna like 20% a week, like every week, like I'm gonna have $1 billion by the end of the year. And it's hard to break that mindset. And really, what helped me was it was a guy in Scotland. He runs a trading company, and he does a lot about like mental mindset and psychology with specifically trading.
Okay.
And he's the one that really helped me break it down to where the point where like if you're looking for that, you're going to fail. If you're looking to moonshot everything you do in your life, like you should try to like do the best you can do.
Yeah.
But if you're expecting everything you do to be successful and not expecting the failures to happen, and the failures might happen 60% of the time. It's those 40% wins, being conservative and setting yourself up for those 40% wins beat out those 60% losses. And in the end, you're still out ahead.
Yeah.
And that was like what really changed my mindset with it and got me into sort of doing that as a side business. And the time freedom is.
So he was speaking that specifically on trading.
Yes, he does. So he does mainly trading. I think down the road he's trying to get into like other stuff, but primarily like his education stuff is all about trading psychology and the mental. He's been in this for 10 years.
Oh,
so
wow. Okay.
Yeah, so he's all about like, you know, those people that are showing you that you can make $1 million in a month, they're not going to be trading next month. Like that's the thing. Like you might have 1 month where you do that, but over the span of, you know, a decade or two, you're not going to keep that up because you're going to lose over half the time you do.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think a lot of it's like lucky shots? Like somebody like does something, they take it to the moon, they make all this money, and they're like, sweet, now I know everything. And so that's when they try to like get in there and they're like, let me teach you because this is what I did. But it was like once in a lifetime kind of scratch off ticket, winning $1,000 kind of deal.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think we're all guilty of that sometimes, right? Like if we do something and it takes off the first time, and next thing you know, we think we're invincible.
Yeah.
And you find out you fly too close to the sun very quickly.
Yeah,
I like
failure. That. Failure is key to success, though. It's trying that's the important part. You just keep trying, and eventually you'll be successful at something that you're trying to do. But you touched like what you kind of touched on with the trading thing is just kind of, you know, how life is in general with, you know, the mental concept of money, of if you chase the money, if that's the purpose behind it, you're going to always be chasing money because now you're living in lack. So that brings it into the more construct of how the mind really works in the subconscious mind. If you're always just like, I need to go get money, I need to get money, you're always going to be chasing money. Yeah. You know, if you live in the moment of I have money, I'm receiving it, and it's always going to flow to me, you don't even think about it. Then you just know it's going to keep flowing, and then it does. There's none of that ego of I need money because you have it. It flows to you. So there's that. Yeah, that it touches on how trading is, but it's also on a broader scale. With the mindset though, because when we spoke, you know, you said you kind of stepped back and stayed in isolation for the last couple of years, and wanted to get into like mindset and learning how to create habits and different stuff, pretty much everything that we're getting into coaching about.
Yep.
So what exactly, let's talk about that journey.
Yeah. So I guess for me, and this sort of will tie into mental health issues too, I had a long-standing point of not understanding myself, I guess, and trying to like cope with that in different ways and everything. And this is going to sound bad because this really affected a lot of people's lives. A lot of people lost their lives, but this pandemic gave me the opportunity to basically, while continuing to work, have almost 2 years where I had 80% of my day to myself.
Yeah.
To sit back and being able to take that time. And I know most people won't have that opportunity to do that, but, if you can work to a point where you have the opportunity to, being able to basically like, it was just me and my wife. And occasionally I go out and go fishing. You know, I go kayaking with some friends, maybe grab like a beer or two on a Friday. But probably at least, I would say 80% of my time, I was by myself focusing on what I want. I was reading, I was learning, I was watching YouTube videos, I was learning skills, remodeling a house. I was trying to make myself more skilled, better, trying to understand what I wanted. And I think now, probably the last, I would say 3 months, I finally gotten away from what you were saying about always trying to always being in lack, always wanting everything, and sort of stop trying to chase the money and find ways to not let that be my focus. Cause I was guilty of it when I first, got out and I was making money and I was more financially stable than I've ever been in my entire life. I was like, okay, I want a nice house. I want all this stuff. And now, the only thing I care about is making enough money I can send my son to a nice private school, somewhere where he can get a good education, have good opportunities, pay for his VOTEC school or his college or whatever he wants to do. That's all I'm focused on now. The bills are paid already. So now I want to focus on how I can not just better myself, better my family's lives without being greedy and then taking those opportunities away from other people. And it was hard. It's funny. The more people I talk to and hear people's journeys, the more I just believe we're all going through the same shit.
Oh yeah.
100%. What he just said is literally my last 2 years.
Yeah.
It's pretty much key.
Yeah. It's so
now, I went through a different type of, transformation process, but we both went isolated doing that. So when you say it's tough, that process it can be lonely as shit, right? Probably went through a couple things like that.
When you're by yourself, you get to both know and hate yourself the most,
right?
But you learn the most,
and you hate people. You start hating people around you, and then you have to learn to not.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it too is because you realize that a lot of what you're disliking about those people around you is you're projecting out there, and you're the one that's making that projection.
That's you,
them.
right?
That's you.
That's your projections. Yeah. If you were sitting there and you're saying this person is manipulative or this person is that, no, you're seeing your reflection.
Exactly.
Right? When you judge somebody, you're instantly seeing who you are as a person. You're not seeing that person, right? And I think that's that was the biggest thing I had to learn, right? Is I had to learn, what I was seeing was other people, was myself. But that also, when I came into that awareness, it was change just was easy after that. It was, we can do any type of change. And I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you just almost, my analogy for it is, and my wife actually gave me this because of, my mental health stuff, which we'll probably get into, I like to say when I go out in public, I have a mask on. And I mean, you probably, because we've known each other, we just got back in touch, but we've known each other for what,
10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Plus,
and those were some dark times back then. Yeah. So, I mean.
So when you say you came into money and knowing from where, we both came from, it's when you get into that, it's and with you, Josh, what was your kind of your experience through your transformation as far as what kind of brought you through it?
So when I really started digging deep into it and trying to figure it out, I had just quit a job that was supporting my family. So it was an abrupt end to everything.
Scary as shit.
Yeah,
right?
Scary as shit. And I had bills that needed paid and things like that. But I was my mental health was suffering working at this place. So I was I'm done, and I quit. And I did it right before Thanksgiving. So the holidays are the most stressful time of year because you got to do things with people. And I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to be around anybody. And this was, during the pandemic. So we didn't really have to go that many places because it was still kind of everyone stay to themselves. So I was okay, cool. I can do this. So what typically my days looked like were waking up and either A, trying to find a job that I'm passionate about that I can get into, or B, sit there and cry because I'm how the fuck am I supposed to have 2 kids and a wife and this house and support everybody. And the bank account was quickly going away, paying for the mortgage and all that kind of stuff, and only being on one income. It sucked, and didn't have any kind of other source of income. I wasn't trading at the time. Didn't have my apparel brand, nothing. So I was like, all right, dude, well, you suck. And I need to change. So I found myself in the pit of despair and went through about 2 months of straight suicide thoughts. Just like, okay, well, you know what? Everyone's better off without me. Like, you pretty much failed as a man. I was on my second marriage. Like, this fucking blows. Like, let's do it. Like, I'm done. So then once those thoughts started coming into my sleep too, that's when one morning I just woke up and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, this is getting pretty serious. Like, it's either do or die. Like, and by die, I mean literally die. Like, I'm either going to elevate myself and get out of this, or I'm going to kill myself. So I started shutting myself from everyone. You and I stopped talking. I just literally closed everyone off. I started reading. I started meditating like harder than I've ever meditated before. Because I used to I'd say now that I'm truly meditating, I used to dabble.
Well, no, dude, because there's like a misconception that like there's a good or a bad meditation.
Yeah. Before
you were doing it,
yeah.
Before
I was
learning,
doing it, dude. I was like experimenting. Yeah. There you go. Like, I was like trying to get my feet wet with it. But yeah, basically, one day I was sitting there and I'm like, I call it God. You can call it the universe. You can call it anything. Like this, the spiritual awakening of everyone as a whole. Other thoughts around me happening. Something literally reached down and grabbed my heart and gave it life. Started pumping into it. I had goosebumps from head to toe, and it's like, no. Like, I was put on this earth for way more than this. Like, not these thoughts. These thoughts aren't me. That what's happening around me is a direct reflection of how my inner turmoil is. Like, let's fucking do this. So then I just started reading. I started reaching out to people again, and pretty much changed my life over the course of 4 months. I started going back to like more ancestral ways of health, of living, because I was eating like crap. Because I was like, basically, I was like, well, if I can't afford anything, let's buy ramen noodles. And then shoving that in your face, you know what I mean, was terrible for my physical health. I started putting on weight. I got up to like almost 350 pounds. Like, I was just like bloated all the time, miserable. So once I started actually realizing like, no, there is a reason I'm here. Like, there's a reason that I was put on this earth, and there's something else that's not me, no one around me, something else higher than me is like, no, dude, you have work to do. Mm-hmm. That's when I started going through that whole change. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much like how we started talking again and got back together and things like that. So it was a very, very negative time during the pandemic. And then it was a very, very great time during the pandemic. I mean, technically, I guess we're still in it. I'm telling you, dude, so.
It's like it's a large rise in consciousness. Yes. Like we're I don't know what you believe, but you know, as far as like we're all one being, we're interconnected to an energy source, and like we affect each other, and we're all going through the same thing. So there's just like an energy shift happening where it's like, you know, we're calm. People just need to just stay calm and just, you know, enjoy this journey, because we're actually coming into what I think is like one of the most transformative times of, you know, of humanity.
Yeah. And I'm starting to see that now too.
And like, so you also had mental health issues, right? Was yours in the military, outside the military?
So mine is every day, unfortunately. But it
was before, right?
It was before. Yeah,
that's where it starts.
Yeah.
Right?
It started way before. So, you know, when I was younger, anger, isolation, pretend to be someone I'm not, you know, drug use to cope with feelings, depression, you know, like being emotionally abusive to people for no reason, being spiteful, like really just like terrible, terrible things. Like I'll be the first to admit, like I was a very bad person. At least I view myself as being a bad person.
The same shit though that was done, like it was done to you first.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So that's where it comes from. Is like everybody misconceives that like I'm this bad person. Like I was the same thing. It's like, I'm bad.
Yeah.
Or like, no, it was like done somewhere before. And like, you just hold that inside of you.
Absolutely. You know, I saw it you know, through my father, you know, I saw it through my parents struggling. You see it, you know, growing up in like, I mean, I'm sure I was more like, I guess, awake to what was going on in like the mid to late 90s, like early 2000s. But like going through that time period and seeing like, you know, like what America was like going forward before the .com bubble, and like everything was like going to the future, like everyone was like Y2K passed, like it was like this was it, like we're going to be like, it's going to be like all futuristic and cool and cyberpunky, and everyone's
could have been
free.
there.
Yeah, we could have been there. Yeah, like Star Trek, you know, like that was what we were going to, and then just seeing like everything just like spiral down, you know. I think that was a big part of it, like you know, just seeing all that and being attuned to it at a young age, and then with, you know, the family stuff, financial stuff. But when I got into the military, it took a dark turn, and there was not much help. So I would say 4 years in the military, I saw my wife 3 weeks total. And during that time, I think, so we do deployments in the Navy a little bit different. So they don't call them deployments, but they'll send you out to sea for like 3 months at a time, not really doing a mission, just sort of, you know, showing force.
But I mean, we're flexing.
Yeah. But the thing is, and you know, they're like, oh, it's just a workup, or you're just going underway, and they make it sound all cool because, you know, they program you that like, hey, when you get back, you can go to the bar for 2 weekends, and then we're going to go out and do it again. And like, you know, that becomes your life. And you don't realize that like in this whole time, out of, you know, 365 days a year, you're spending 200 of those out to sea, away from everyone, you know, limited internet, and then you come back, and because everyone is in the same emotional and mental headspace as you, everyone's just like, you know, let's be degenerate, let's go drink, like mental health, like screw that, like we don't need that. And
they're validating each other.
Exactly.
You're same shit that happens in the civilian world. They just all go into the bar, and they're just like, okay, we're all here together. And
yeah. And the thing is too, is it's one of those things, and I'll be the first one to admit it. I thought that like, you know, I was, and this is like embarrassing for me, like the concept of like men seeking like help with mental health is just like the most ridiculous thing. Like we should just like deal with it, like fucking, you know, be a man, you know, like.
Dude, when I went through like my suicidal thing in active duty Army, bro, my NCO made me feel like the biggest piece of shit. Like he made fun of me, like I got made fun of for it, and it's like, I mean, now looking back, I'm like, I don't really give a shit at this point. But it's like back then, it's like, man, that did some fucking did some damage to somebody. And like the whole system of like what they put you through. I walked through that shit, was just like, I'm good. Like, no, I just like down to fit the captain and tried to cut my fucking arm, and I'm good. Like, you're gonna believe me? Okay.
Well, that's how they train you. You do those stand downs, and
you're
like,
a number, dude. You're a number.
Yeah, and they're like, all right, well, make sure you ask someone how they're actually feeling. But at that point, if someone comes up to me and asks me how I'm actually feeling, and I'm in that situation, I'm not gonna fucking tell them. I don't want to talk to them.
No, you're gonna say exactly the same thing. I'm fine.
Yeah,
because they make it. Like they make it seem like it's. You hit on it. We're so scared to talk about our emotions and hide it, but like we're now in that. You know, we might be going into this, we went through this dark period, but it's bringing out like all the traumas, all this shit. And, you know, I'm a big believer in like, you know, most people think our generation's going to fuck it up, but like we're literally going to come back through and, you know, transform these traumas into a lot brighter future than what people even see right now or can comprehend. That's my true belief.
Someone's got to do it.
I think our generation is really going to turn things around as far as like, connecting with each other and, you know, just, you know, getting rid of, you know, the traumas. It's just going to take work. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And you said it best, like when you said about like, hey, the man up mentality. Now I personally, there's a time and a place for that. Like I still do believe that, but it shouldn't just be man up. It should just be like, hey, we're going to evolve, but we should do it in a tribe mentality together. So like if I'm feeling shitty or if I'm having like a bad thought or an ego thought or just anything, besides holding that in and making it worse, why don't I tell my buddy? Like, you know what I mean? Tell another man, like, hey, dude, I'm feeling like shit today. Like, I called Tyler, and I'm like, hey, dude, like, I had this thought, and it kind of put me down a dark path. And then I explained my thought. I tell him about it, and we talk through it. And then when we're done, I feel like $1 million.
Boom.
It's done. Yeah. It's going. I suppressed it, dude, put it in, lock the key. But then I'm like, Tyler, you know what? Here's the key. Can you open this for me? He opens it up. We talk about it. And then the chest is empty and it's open and the key's on the table. I don't have that negativity where I'm going to bed that night thinking about that or waking up the next morning like, oh, these thoughts suck because I'm a terrible person. I should just man up. Well, I did man up because I talked about it and I expressed how I'm feeling. And I'll tell you what, it helped a lot in my relationship with my wife. Because there was a lot of times where we would start bickering and I would be like, well, I'm getting the last word, so I'm going to say something that hurts and stab, and then I'm done. And then if she runs off crying, like, I win. Like, cool. And I wasn't saying that out loud, but that's like what my subconscious was thinking, like, I'm going to win this battle. Like, you're not going to get the best word or me.
I'm right. Yeah. I'm right.
But then all of a sudden, like, I was just like, when things are a little, you know, when we have a little bickering and then I'm just like, okay, wait a second. I stop, I breathe, I look at the bigger picture and I'm like, all right, hey, I know I said some stuff that probably, you know, wasn't, but this is where I was coming from. So this is why I said it. You know, how could I have done that better? And I'll tell you what, the first time I did that in a fight with my wife, she stopped and looked at me like, who the fuck are you? Like, what? Like,
she was so mad.
She was totally mad. I could just see it in her face. She was just like, looked at me like, what the fuck? And I said, and once we do that, tell me what I can do different next time.
Dude, that's what you have to do.
And she was like taken back and she was just like, what the like,
you know what that is?
What?
That's just like leadership in general. Because like as a leader, if there's something going wrong, you need to first be like, what can I do to make this right for you, to make this right? Like what can we do together to make this right going forward?
Yes.
But to kind of hit back on, you know, you mentioned like going to port and, you know, everybody just gets fucked up together. And like, that's the key. Like this last year was the first time I went through like a breakup and I was like, I didn't drink through it.
Yeah.
It was like, I felt the shit and man, that was a crazy wild ride.
So you're saying like before in the past, when you went through a breakup,
15 years of like being with people and drinking or doing drugs through them.
Some substance.
Some substance was through.
This was the first time
this
you
is the
went
first time, dude.
Completely sober.
I wasn't like completely sober. I didn't drink for months and months and months, and I still don't really drink now.
Yeah.
I drink some wine every now and then, but even now I'm just like one and I'm done.
But you were able to feel it this
time.
I
was, dude, I felt like the actual emotions.
Now, shouldn't that fucking be called manning up?
Exactly.
Think about that. Think about
dude, that's sitting. That's like true. Like people, you know, they're like, yeah, I can drink all this. Like, no, I would try and sit with your shit.
Yes.
The deepest things.
Be with yourself a moment.
And like, you know, we sit here thinking this because like we know our inner demons, right?
Yeah.
Other people haven't really like visited their demons, but when you sit with those demons, that can be some scary shit.
Yep.
And you got to figure out, you know, what's you, and you got to peel apart, you know, parts that aren't you, people that have put, you know, their selves onto you. You have to peel that shit apart. But the alcohol is key, that, you know, people just get desensitized for what's happening. So what kind of research did you do into like the mental health side of things?
So you're talking about for my personal mental health?
Your personal mental, personal path that you went on. Like, what was that? Let's go back into that journey.
Okay.
Of
so
where you were going.
I guess we'll go back into, not seeing my wife. Right. Yeah. And my wife is my big coping mechanism. Okay. Always has been. I haven't always treated her the right way, you know, because we've been together for like
high school, dude.
Yeah, we were high school. Yeah, we were like on and off since high school. Got married like halfway through college. So so she's seen the dark side of me, and she knows how to sort of make me look at that introspectively and, you know, tackle that and be better. But being away from that and being in that environment, right, the drinking desensitizes you. And the only thing you're looking to do is like, I'm miserable right now. I want to get to that point where I'm drunk or I'm with my friends and I'm not miserable and I'm not thinking about it. And that just compounded for me, who had undiagnosed mental health issues. So basically what happened was, this was 2020, beginning of 2020. I was dealing with it. So my thing is antisocial personality disorder is what I have, with a little bit of like paranoia. It's paranoia induced. And what I was doing was I was like really thinking about like hurting people. Like I was actually to the point where like I was like, you know, like planning it out, like actually like, you know, almost like to the point where I was stalking victims. But at the same time, I was also every single day repressing that with alcohol and lots of alcohol to keep me from doing that. And I was thinking that was like what was keeping me from like snapping, right? And it wasn't. What it was doing was just like internalizing all those feelings and making it worse.
And storing all that negative energy that you were.
I wasn't talking to anybody. You know, I was telling everyone at work I was fine. I was getting promoted. I was getting awards. Like I was a superstar on paper. But when I went home, it was like a complete darkness. And this all resulted in one night. I was very drunk. It was a rowdy night. Basically, I just like was like, okay, like I'm gonna go do this. Like I had a gun, like which was the stupidest plan because you know anyone that watches like serial killer documentaries, you know that's like the worst way to do it. Which shows how like I just wasn't thinking because I put all this like depressed planning into like how I was gonna do it and like yeah, so I called my wife and I told her and she was like, you're absolutely not going to fucking do that. She's like, I'm calling. And so we weren't living together still. I was down in Virginia and she was living up here still. So she called somebody and I spent 14 days in inpatient, military inpatient, which was rough.
Yeah.
Because
I did like 7 days.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm not even crazy.
Yeah.
Like listening to people.
Yeah. So I was the opposite. I got there and they were, because I was drinking so much, my blood alcohol was, you know, through the roof. I don't remember what it was, but it was like I should have been like stomach pumping or dying.
Oh, wow.
And I was just complete sentences, like just perfectly fine. And they were like, yeah, so you're like, your problem is you're an alcoholic. And I'm like, well, yes, I am. But like, that's not my problem.
Thanks. Like, I appreciate that.
Like, that's not the issue I'm dealing with. Like, I'm having intrusive thoughts. And like, I feel like I might be finally like becoming to a point where I'm going to endanger myself or others. Yeah. And it took like.
So you admitted that?
Oh, I was upfront with them.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as the next day I sobered up and they were just like, all right, cool, you're going to alcohol class. And I was like, I don't think you understand like what I've been dealing with.
How long were you having these thoughts for?
Honestly, I mean, really, probably since I was like 11 or 12, like since like prepubescent times.
And as far as your wife knowing, how long did she know? Was it just that one time?
No. So I talked to her a few times when we were like really young, like
when you dated.
Yeah. And I think it was one of those things where it was just sort of brushed off. And then I, you know, probably for the next like 10 years, just like sort of repressed it and like just didn't tell anyone because I was like, everyone's gonna think I'm crazy. Like I probably am a little bit crazy. Like no one's gonna help. Yeah. I was like, no one's gonna help me. Everyone's gonna think like I'm just like doing it for attention or something. You know, all those thoughts start creeping into your head that make you not want to look for help. So the first time I actually told her about it again was I was on leave and we were at her friend's wedding. And I was like, it was like towards the end of the night and I was sitting there and I was like, I need to tell you this. Like, I know this is like the worst time, but I have to tell you this. Like, this is how I've been feeling. And she was just like, all right, like, okay, we'll try and figure something out.
What at the wedding triggers you that you had to like?
The people.
Yeah.
Oh my, yeah. The people. And like, I think it was like, so I get really frustrated when people have like vain happiness where it's like, it's like a facade of happiness, but you can tell they're like not being honest with themselves about how they feel. Yeah. And having like 200 people like that, like in that situation,
you can almost feel the vibration of negativity.
Yeah. And they're just, you can feel it like inside them. And they're just like holding it in and smiling. And I'm like, none of you are happy here. Like, you know? And that was
Joey's like, give me the cake knife. Not to like joke around about this.
No. I mean, so I finally, it was like 5 days into inpatient of going to this, like, you know, a bunch of doctors every single day. Like, I finally convinced them of like, no, like,
you had to convince them.
I had to convince them. Like, they like, and like, I'm sitting there like, you know, literally like, they had the report of like when the people, like the police came to pick me up to take me there and everything.
Did they have like the paper? Like, were you writing stuff down?
Oh yeah. I wrote it all down. I wrote
Okay.
like the whole thing about like why I was there and everything, and like what I was thinking and like what I was doing. And
But I'm saying, like, when you were planning things? Like,
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So what do you obviously dove into, that that trauma. Where did you trace that back to? Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, so they sort of, I'll say the doctors gave me the answer of it was a combination of like genetics and like nurturing as a child, which makes sense because I had a pretty rough childhood, a lot of violence in the childhood, not towards me, but I witnessed a lot of violence in our family. So I think
you saw it.
I saw it, yeah, and I was absorbing it at a young age, and sort of I was put into that role of like the protector of my sister in that like violent situation, right? Yeah. So I think that probably had a big part of it, and then also just genetics. So on my father's side and my mother's side, there's like decades of history, like since they've been keeping history of this, of mental health issues that have just been like undiagnosed, led to a suicide, led to like, bad life choices, led to imprisonment, just like going back a long way. And again, it was just like that mental state of like, just nobody talked about it. Everyone knows about it, but no one talks about it. So I think for me, it would probably go back to a combination of like that childhood, the violent childhood, and then just like not realizing like that kind of violent childhood to someone that's genetically predisposed to like, having those imbalances chemically in their brain is just like combination for failure, like catastrophic failure.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, right. It's like the passing down, you basically, if you don't heal your traumas, you pass it down onto your kids, right? And then if your kid doesn't heal it, they're going to keep passing on. And that's just where we are in like the state of humanity. And like we touched on that earlier, where it's like everybody's having the same issues. Yeah. Like you felt alone as shit. You felt alone as shit. I felt alone as shit. Like we've all everybody's been in that position where they felt alone, and you're not. Yeah. Like you're not. And when you're in those alone states, like what did you do to bring yourself out of like those dark states, to bring yourself into like a positive state for a couple hours, days, however long you could bring yourself back into them? Like what did you do to like mentally get yourself back?
So are we talking like I would say like evolution of like, let's do
both sides of it, right? Like let's, before you got into mindset and learning about the mind and yourself and how you can control it and change habits and release energy, let's talk about that, and then we'll get into
absolutely. So for me, it was putting on, like I said, the analogy my wife gave me, it was putting on that mask. Like I could be at my lowest low, and like it was almost like I had to being able to convince myself, like, I can put on this facade, I can go to work, and I can be the person that everyone thinks I can be for like 6 to 8 hours at work, right? I can do that. I can force myself to, and none of them know. And that was like that was like my brief reprieve of like getting away from that, because I had to take all that and put it so deep down so I could have that mask on, so the mask wouldn't slip. Right. So it's just completely unhealthy. Like you were talking about, it was just like locking it deeper and deeper and deeper. So that was how I did it. Post all of this, inpatient, trying different medications, not really helping, getting off those medications, focusing on mindset, focusing on daily routines, planning, being with, positive influences in my life. Really what it comes down to now is how I deal with it is if I'm dealing with that mentally, if I feel like I'm slipping down there, I'll go to my wife, I'll sit down, I'll make her lunch. I'll take a step back and sort of like you said, I'll pull out. Yeah. And I'll look at everything I have, and I'll look at where I'm at, and I'll just take that mental minute to be like, I know I'm feeling like this. I'm feeling like this because, of some medical reason, but if I think about everything positive I have going on, if I think about everything I can do, if I think about the fact that, now I can wake up in the morning, every morning at the same time, and I can accomplish my goals, that sort of helps me to pull back and sort of, I wouldn't say lock those thoughts down, but sort of move them to the side where they're not in control.
Because they're always going to be there. Yeah. Like the thoughts aren't going to just magically disappear. You have thoughts for a reason. Thoughts come and go. It's when we take hold of those thoughts and try to like control them. Then we get tired. We get emotionally stressed. That's when the depression and the anxiety kicks in, because we're either trying to repress them or we're trying to like be them thoughts. But if we
or like stop them, like I don't want these thoughts. I'm sure like you went through like a time period where you're like, I don't want these thoughts to happen. But as you did that, you're drawing in more of those thoughts.
Yeah, because not only that is you're thinking about it more, so it is creating a pathway to bring them in more.
Makes it easier too.
So
you hit on something, right? What took you out of those states was gratitude. And we hit on this all the time. Gratitude is the state of receivership, and it's like it actually brings energy into your heart, and then that energy is like a magnetic field that they're actually able to measure to where it expands. So like as you get in these gratitude states, everyone thinks about the brain, right? It truly, it's here. The brain has the thoughts, but it's the heart that creates, we use the heart to create that energy.
I think of it like a beacon, like the brain allows us to bring it in, but then like a lighthouse, everything within there is the solid foundation, such as our heart, our body. So as we bring it in through our head, we do have to feel it. That's why, like, when I have like really powerful, nice, positive excitement, my joy, I feel it all the way down to my toes. Like everything vibrates. I'll text Tyler every once in a while and be like, dude, I woke up this morning vibrating, because that's what ends up happening. I get so excited, my body vibrates.
You connect to that energy. You're connected to the energy source, bro.
And I ground every morning. So I go outside bare feet and stand there, and I can actually feel it. Like I feel myself get pumped up and charged for the day because of that. And that's
what do you do?
What, pumped up?
No, like what do you do?
Oh, you mean grounding?
Yeah, what is that?
I take my bare feet. So every morning, if it's cold, it doesn't matter. I go out exactly like this, typically in shorts and a t-shirt, get the cold air on me, and I plant my feet directly on the earth. Typically, I try to do it for about 20 minutes. Sometimes if I'm really out there, I can do it for about 30. When it's cold, I at least try to get 15 before I work on coming inside. But I go out there, and the grounding, it realigns me. Like it realigns my thoughts. It realigns my emotions. It's just like the calmness.
You're doing like conscious breathing while you're doing it?
I do a little bit of breathing. I focus more on gratitude though. Like I focus more on not my breath, but my mindset when I do my grounding. And then I work on my breath before I do my journal. So,
well, that's like the practice that I use is like I get into a state of gratitude for like the first 10 to 15 minutes of just conscious breathing. So breathing the energy up from the creation center, which is your sex glands, right? Breathing that energy up into the heart. And then I go into like, all right, well, this is where I want to be in 90 days, a year from now, 5 years from now. And I go through those visualizations, who I want to be, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how I do it, because when you get into that gratitude state, and that's where it's like, when you get to the quantum side of things, that's where like you're getting into more of the energy and how it flows and how you can draw things into you, which is, it's relatively like, it's not like a new thing, but like mainstream, it's like a new thing. To manifest and like do it through like science research, right, is like a new thing. So for your mindset, right, what's your morning routine like? Like everybody's different.
Oh yeah. So I will say that, cause I know you guys usually do the weekly wins. I'm glad I didn't have to do a weekly win, because I weekly failed, this week. So
there's always a win. Yeah. There's always a win.
But for
you're on this podcast.
Yeah.
That's a win.
That's a win. But yeah, so I've actually been trying to adjust my morning routine. So I have been trying to go to bed earlier, like closer towards sunset, and then wake up at around like 2:33 a.m.
That's so
wow. Isn't that something? That's what Tyler's been.
Yeah, more like a natural sleep cycle. And it has been rough because my wife, unfortunately, she is normally 100% supportive. She likes to watch TV while she sleeps, and I have that light just like shining on me.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
Is it in your bedroom? The TV
it's in the bedroom. Yeah.
I wish I could come over to your house right now and break your TV.
Yeah. Take it. You gotta just take it out. Just like a trip and fall. Like, honey, the kid doesn't need to see the TV. I want to caveat on that, just because it's in my head, and I don't want to sidetrack you, but I suggest
blue light blocking glasses before bed.
I got some. I ordered some. They are not here yet.
And then when you go to sleep, wear a mask. Wear
Yeah,
because
good.
even with your eyes closed, the light from the TV is coming in, and it's messing up your REM cycles and stuff like that. So sorry to cut you off.
No.
I'm just letting you know because I've been doing it a lot, like creating a cave for myself. So
yeah, because that's what I've been trying. Because normally I wake up, I'll stay up to like 10 or 11, and I'll wake up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Okay.
But for like what I'm trying to do with the trading, what I'm trying to do with my free time during the day, with like my creativity, finding personal time, I find that like basically like being on London time, which is effectively what I'm trying to do.
Because the Greenwich Mean Time.
Yeah, is like the most effective for my routine.
Gotcha.
So that's what I've been trying to do. I've been failing this week. I've been getting up at like 3:34, so I'm missing the mark by like 2 hours.
So you're not failing because you're learning.
I am.
Your body's slowly learning.
That's part of
to adapt to that. Sorry, we're just positive.
No.
But that's part of the mindset though, right? Is breaking down those particular words.
Yep.
You're not failing, right? You're experiencing and you're learning. That's what it is. It's all about. But what triggered you to so it's the trading that triggered it?
Yeah, so it's a combination of that, and basically I looked at it like this. So for me to utilize my time most effectively, because when I do go into work, I go into work from about, I would say 6 in the morning until about 1 or 2 p.m.
Like DOD contract.
DOD, yeah. When I go into my DOD job, that's usually my schedule.
So it's like 6 to 2.
Yeah, which is a weird sort of time frame, I think, to like structure an entire day around, because you do want that morning routine. You want to be able to get up. You want to be able to focus on yourself, focus on your family, eat good food, make breakfast. And if I'm waking up at 5, I'm throwing coffee in a pot, hitting my vape a few times, heading out the door, which is no better than when I was in the Navy, not taking care of myself.
No me time, right?
Exactly. And my wife sleeps in until, she's a scientist, so she can wake up whenever she wants. And she sleeps in until like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock sometimes. So I have that time to, I know not anymore.
I could never do that, dude. Never could I do that again. Yeah. My body would like freak out. If I hit 6:30, I'm like impressed.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So what I'm trying to get into and trying to make my morning routine is wake up, have a tea. I'm a coffee drinker. I know you guys, I don't think you guys are coffee drinkers, but
very rare.
I drink mud water.
Yeah. I'm a coffee drinker. So make my coffee, make some
Do you have
food.
to have your coffee in the
No,
morning?
I don't have to.
Yeah.
No. I'm not like a caffeine purist where like I need to have so many milligrams.
Yeah.
It's not I need a bang energy drink or anything like that. I'm strictly like I just enjoy coffee.
How long after you wake up do you typically have coffee? Do you go through anything before you have your coffee?
Yeah, I try to drink a cup of water first before I do anything. That's just like a big thing. I usually fail at doing it before I go to bed, but I try, right after I go to the bathroom for the last time, drink a full cup of water, and then when I wake up, full cup of water. Just sort of get that hydration.
You put it by your bed?
Yeah, I keep it by the bed, and then what I'll do is I'll take it down with me when I wake up, fill it up again, and try
drink it.
Yep. Yeah. So that's a big part of it. And then what I'm trying to add into my morning routine and changing this mindset is actually making myself breakfast. Okay. So being able to wake up earlier, if I can get to that goal, is going to give me that time in the morning to actually like make myself breakfast early, enjoy it, have that sort of ritual.
Kind of like, you flow through it. It's a nice, easy.
Yeah.
We're kind of on the similar thing. I started doing like 1 to 4.
Okay.
And then I'll go to sleep for like 2-3 hours, and then I'll wake up. That's usually when Leah's waking up. She's usually running in, tackling me, actually. Startles me as soon as I wake up. I'm like, honey, Daddy needs to lay here for like 5 minutes. Give me a minute. But yeah, then I get her to school, and then I come back and I do like a 3-hour focus work. And then I have I do like lunch, journal, and then I go into like a 2-3 hour sleep session in the mid-afternoon. But the 1 to 4 work that I'm able to do is awesome. There's completely unfocused work. I can do more in that 4 hours, and it's usually only like the first 2 that that it's been working. Like this is the first week that I've ran it completely. But for like the last couple months, I've been waking up at random times, like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and just staying up and doing work, and that I just was like, all right, well, maybe I just switch that into the schedule. But what would you say is hindering you right now from getting that schedule?
I would say, so I'm a big believer in like habituation, like habits, how we're habit-based creatures. Actually, I heard a really funny thing. There's a scientist writing a book. She did a study, and it's like they figured out that like 43. I think this is the number. Don't quote me on this because I listened to it in passing, but I think it's 43% of our daily routines, on average, as humans, is habitual. It is like non-conscious. We just sort of like do it. So.
You talking about like the subconscious programs?
Yeah, exactly. So just like, things that we do every day that we just don't think about. And, getting to that point is easier and harder for some people. For me, I am not a habit former. I am like people that are like, oh yeah, it only takes like 3 weeks or 3 days to make a habit, 3 weeks to break it. Like I could do something for like years. It is not a habit for me, depending on like what it is.
You consciously go through.
Yeah,
I'm going to do this.
Yeah, so I have to find that internal motivation to push myself, to get myself in the mindset that like, it's almost like it's a goal that I want right now, right? This is like a goal that I want to achieve. It's not a goal I need to achieve. So trying to balance the difference of the want and the need and pushing myself to push forward for those wants, not just for the needs, push forward for things that I truly deep down want to achieve. That's something I'm not great at. So that's something I'm trying to get better at.
That's kind of what we were kind of talking about the other day, you know, like what do we want and like what is like our actual like path of like what we truly want.
Yeah.
So the scheduling though, it's just learning you're just trying to get the rhythm down is basically where you're at with it.
Yeah. I'm getting there. So previously this is my morning routine, really bad morning routine. Wake up, shower, depending on, some mornings I would, some mornings I wouldn't.
Cold, hot.
I've been trying to get colder. I would say I'm at like a lukewarm.
Okay.
So in my cold bathroom, because I don't have HVAC in my bathroom yet, I'm still working on that. It is a pretty cold shower, but also the space is very cold as well. Yeah. So I'm going from like a colder shower into a colder space.
Okay.
You know how you get to the cold?
Just do it.
You just gotta do it, bro.
I've done it a few times. I think just getting back into the full cold is really just, I just haven't broken through there yet. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes shower, sometimes not. Sometimes I would usually do like a yogurt, like a handful of fruit, maybe like I have like some healthier cereals I like to eat. Maybe like just like a bowl of like cereal oat milk, and then like straight off to work, like no me time, like straight to the office if I had to go in the office.
Boom, 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 go on. Out the door.
And then that was it. I was in my day. I was in that cycle. Get home, and then get home was straight into this is the stuff I have to do. So I have to get this house project done. I have to do this for my wife. I have to do this for myself. I have to take care of this chore. So that for me, I think is a really unhealthy time management. It's an unhealthy way to manage my time.
How much of your time do you think you actually is for you?
So right now, I would say out of a day, I probably get maybe 6 hours the way I'm currently going, not taking the news cycle into account.
And in that 6 hours, like what is like Joey time? What does me time look like?
Me time. All right. So me time is usually, I will say I try to like zone out. So either like video games, coding, like, just
fun.
Yeah. Fun stuff, maybe like go outside, play with the dog, stuff like that. I would say I probably try and get a few hours of that. I was doing during the height of the pandemic when I had a little more time. That was probably like 90% of my free time, which is also very unhealthy. Yeah. That is bad time management. You should not, 90% of your free time should not be just having fun. I know that sounds great, but you're not going to get anything done.
Accomplished.
So I usually try to spend at least like 1 or 2 hours. Even if I don't have the time, I make the time on education, whether that be for trading, learning a skill, like trying a little bit of language practice. I try to get that every day.
Where are you going for your education? Like where are you going?
It depends. So I my wife and I buy a lot of books. We're sort of book hoarders. So we have a lot of books. I don't read as much as I probably should. I'm trying to get more into it. I know people hate it, but PDFs, I can just like blow through PDFs. So if I can find like a digital version of a book
What about like Kindle? Do you like reading books through like the Kindle service and things like that? Okay.
Like sometimes I'll even use like my phone screen's pretty big, so I'll just turn that sideways, start reading through stuff. Okay. I would like to get more into physical books, but I'm just like, I'm at my computer, so I can just sit there and start reading.
What's your sorry to like while we're on the books, what's your favorite book that you've read?
Favorite book? Whew, that's hard.
Or the most like influential book for, you know, your the mental health issues that you've had. What was the book that like helped you the most?
Okay. That's probably a difficult one. I would that's actually kind of a challenge, because I would say, since I'm an escapist, I like to escape to the reality like I want to see. That's just who I am, like mentally. When I try to like work inward on myself, I try to escape outward to work inward. So I would say probably like some fantasy novels, like Game of Thrones stuff. There's like a Star Wars book, Thrawn is really good. Like I look to those sort of like fantasy worlds to sort of look for like correlations between that fantasy and sort of like what I'm going through, because I think a lot of those issues that people deal with are expressed more openly in a fantasy setting, because people are like, oh, it's a fantasy book. So hard topics, like, you know, like you see it with like war and rape and stuff like that in a fantasy setting isn't jarring, because you're like, oh, it's a fantasy setting. So, you know, people being crazy, people having mental health issues, stuff like that in a fantasy setting is easier to accept for a lot of people. And I think that's why it doesn't put people off when that happens all the time. But I think it's a good location for my mindset to look towards, like, oh, okay, like this is like, you know, something that I'm experiencing, like obviously in like a fantasy setting. So how can I like take this and turn it inward? So I'm not a huge self-help book guy. There are a few, mostly like.
Are you scared of the category of self-help?
I'm not scared of the category. I just, I've tried so many, and I get into it and like, it resonates with me. Like it hits on it. And I'm like, okay, like this is good information. This is like,
I'm going to give you like 3.
All right.
I'm going to give you like 3. And these ones were, I didn't read before like 2 years ago. Like I did not read. I did podcasts, listened to podcasts. And then I read like one specific book that like shook my world.
Becoming Supernatural.
Yeah, Becoming Supernatural. And like that, like, because that gets into like you're a person of great detail. You'll love that book just because it gets into negative thought, positive thought, what happens internally, chemically, then like how you can go in and change it internally. So it gets into, it's like a how-to manual. It's a how-to manual on how to correct any type of habit that you have. And like there's people that like cure diseases and shit. It's the craziest shit. It's self-healing basically is what you're seeing. It's wild.
I'll check that out. So my thing with most self-help books is I feel like they're almost like astrology in the sense that like they're so generalized to help the most, which I get why they're trying to help the most people.
This is the opposite.
This is a very detailed book.
This is like start here, walks you through a process. Like the way he's like written this book is just so meticulous. And it's all backed by like brain scans, body scans, like scientists come to where like they have like 500 to 1,500 people at events. And like that scientists love to come there because it's like an open thing. I'm going to one of his events this year, like for sure. Because I want to see what the correlation of like, or the feeling of having that many people who believe in like that type of like, of connectedness and having everybody in one room and you're all doing the same thing and you're all feeling each other's energy. I just think how like I do that. I get like, I know when I get into like deep meditations and I feel it myself, and to think like 1,500 people around me while I'm feeling that, the amount of charge that you could get up it'd be ridiculous. But you would really like that book. There's probably a couple that are like maybe a little too simplistic for you. But that one would be, I'll give that to you then. Let's get back on like the time management side of things. The creating the habits. So what drew you to thinking to yourself, hey, I need to create this habit?
So for me, it's because I've historically been terrible at time management, and I have just now, I will say I have gotten to the point where I'm fairly good with time management. I make enough time for my family, for my job, for my mental health, for, my physical body. I just now am getting to the point where like, I feel pretty confident with that. So for me, like I have to like make the schedule. So I don't do it. I know a lot of people say you should journal it. I've tried. Like I even tried for like trading, you're supposed to have a trade journal. I cannot do it. Like I try it and I stop doing it after like 3 days. So me, like I am good, however, at like mentally making milestones and checking them off. So I set myself like goals and milestones. I do it mentally and I try to achieve them. So for me, the time management aspect and prioritizing time management is so important to me because I want to be able to have time for myself, have time for my son that's coming, still be able to have time to be financially stable, and still have a little bit of fun. Have that little you need to have that little bit of fun. Just need to be all your free time, but have time to actually enjoy myself. And getting a schedule down that works with all that has been like the great juggling act of, like you said,
how long you've been working on that?
Shifting my entire schedule, I have been working on it for 4 weeks now.
Okay.
So
okay.
That's not bad, dude. It took me like 12 weeks to get mine down.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took me 12 weeks to get down to like a schedule where a lot of it is like taking your energy back, right? It's like taking it back from this person, taking it back from that person. And just like the big key that, Jared, my coach, taught me was you need to schedule yourself first. Your workout, your mindful stuff. Yes, you have a kid, but if you don't do your mindful shit, what are you for your kid?
Yeah.
So you got to schedule that stuff in there first. And then you go on to like, all right, now this is when I have to work. All right. And then when you get done with that, then it's okay. Well, then we have this space here. What can we put in here that one is going to help us get us to our goal if you're not already on your personal goal? Like for you work for somebody, and then you have to then go do your extra work for yourself as to where and you do the same thing. But then like for me, it's like I go to work for myself and then I go to work for myself in the other open time. Yeah. So, but you're the way you have like your habits and you're on the path, dude, you're dead on it, dude. You're on a great path on what you're
I'm trying to get there. And part of what you said too is
you're getting there.
Yeah. I am getting there. You're right. I am
you're getting there, dude. You're far beyond where a lot of people are. You have a ton of knowledge. And with what you have going for you with your, the social media management, you can build that into so many different things.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Especially with that knowledge that you have, like getting out there, because any endeavor that you partake in, any new passion that you have, the media that like what you can do with it, the content creation and how to get the word out there, like you're ahead of like 95% of the people. Like a lot of people that create businesses, I'm not going to say don't know, but maybe not have the right steps to get.
They don't know to that level.
There.
They don't know the level.
And with you knowing, like with talking to you like 10 minutes before we started this podcast about social media, like you pretty much know. So anything that you create, you're going to get the word out there, and that's all that needs to happen. Especially because nowadays, having this and this
is all you need.
You can do anything you want
anywhere.
You can. I want to make $100,000 this year. Boom, easy, done. You do it. And the cool thing
make some random shirts. And go.
And now with a phone, you already know 100% of how to get everything out there. Now you just need to find the passion, do the business, and get it out. So you're. Leaps and bounds.
is the social media management like a path you want to stay continued on and like branch out and kind of do like your own thing?
Yeah. So with the business I'm trying to start, basically what I want to do is long term. I would say like my next, like this year, laying the foundation, 5-year plan. I want to start a proprietary trading firm of my own. So something where I have my own office. Okay. I have my own desk.
Is that's like 1 to 5 years or like?
I would say foundation this year. I would like to have fully implemented and be at least profitable with an employee within 5 years is my goal. I made that goal probably around August is when I set that goal.
So trading firm.
August what?
I would say, I think like August, probably like mid-August, like August, like 18th-ish.
Oh, that's crazy, dude. That's on my board over there.
Is it really?
How fucking nuts is that? Dude?
Financial freedom.
That's so
August
crazy.
18th.
I know. Oh, I know. I look at the board.
Yeah.
It's
It's also my coaching.
That's so crazy.
That is
strong,
weird.
How
strong
he said
coach,
that
dude.
date, dude.
Strong Coach is like the coaching program I'm in right now, and their board is August 18th.
Really?
Yeah, But
Wow.
they've been awesome to work with.
That when you said that day, I was like, what?
I was sitting here thinking, I was like, he's gonna say 18, isn't he?
I've heard this date before.
No, that was that's about what it was. And and what I would like to do is and like the guy that has really taught me about psychology, what he does is he focuses on like educating people via like social media and showing people, and he calls people out who are scammers, and they get like so angry. And that's what I would like to do is sort of put that positive information out there and be like, listen, like you can do this. It doesn't have to consume all your time, and you can become financially independent with not a lot of money if you're willing to put the work in over the long term.
Yeah.
So you want to coach people on how to do it?
I think I want to coach people on how to not get scammed in the industry.
Okay.
So you could you could just make like a podcast and just do like a podcast and.
But I want the business because I know a lot of people that are good traders, that are consistent traders who just they don't have the capital that I do to be able to actually trade. And the thing is, like, unless you're compounding for 20 years, having startup capital to trade with is really important because, making 5% of 100,000 compared to making 5% of 1,000 is the difference between being able to live and being able to, have to eat ramen noodles and not being able to support yourself.
Yeah.
Ramen noodles will get you to success, though.
I'll tell you what, they've been there for me in some dark times.
They've been there.
Those cup of noodles are clutch.
Yeah.
When you have no money.
Oh yeah.
And I knew I was
$20 for gas, $20 for food.
Yep. And I knew I was on the up and up when I could start adding eggs back.
Oh
yeah. And I'm like, all right, we're getting somewhere, Josh.
But I would like to do that. What I would like to do as that business is I would like to, once I get it set up, I would like to focus mainly on the social media, making videos, doing social media posts, and maybe not me being the face of it. I don't have to be the face of it. I want to, I just want to be able to get that information out there to people.
Yeah.
So that when, like you're getting those ads, just like, I'll show you how to make $6 million out of $50, like they're not going to they're going to see that and question it. And then you're not going to have these kids who are just like, I think it's unhealthy to live with a fantasy. And when people they want to achieve that fantasy, I'm not saying that it's not nice to have goals, but I think that preying on those type of people is like a pretty low thing to do.
And you see that a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. I guess it depends on what industry or like how it's being presented. Because you have to, everything was a fantasy at one point.
Yeah.
Like you think back to some of the, think back to Da Vinci, right? And the stuff that he was drawing that came true. Like it was a fantasy, but then it was reality too. So I get what you're saying about people are out there scamming people. That 100%. But you also get into where you can coach somebody into how to do it. Right. That's if you're truly behind it and you're backing it and you're doing it in the proper way, that's different. But, getting people to think they can create $6 million like that's a different story. But if you lived it, right. If you lived it, is it possible?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you lived
possible,
it, right? Yeah, you lived it. So it's like, are you going to get lucky like that person? We're talking a completely different time. So he's going to give you this plan for when he went in and he was making these buys and he was going through, that's a different time frame now. So there could be a different plan as to where if it's like a business, like a regular business, like a construction business, not too much is going to change on how to replace a bathroom. Not too much is going to change.
Yeah.
So for me, if I wanted to coach contractors, how to start up a business, learn to market and sell, because that's key. If you don't know how to market and sell, you don't have a business. All right. So that type of stuff, it happens all the time. Like the coaching business, you teach people how to coach, or you coach people. You can teach people how to create their lifestyle. It's a lot of it's action. They're lacking action, and everybody lacks action at some point.
Yeah.
Right. And time management for you, Josh, let's kind of get into how did you structure your schedule? How did you get it? Because you're a man that like turns off notifications. Like when you're out, you're out.
Yeah. Like so I first started off by doing like time blocking. So it was like down to the minutes. So I used to do it like, all right, at 5:42, I'm gonna do this, and then I was like, all right.
That's a little obsessive, right? Dude, I did the same thing.
It got intense. So then I just kind of broke it down. Then I went into like 15-minute increments, and I was like, still, that's a little too much for me. Down to 30, and now I pretty much run on hour. Like hourly. So I have like a span of hours that, hey, I want to get this done. But my time management comes from, so it comes from goal setting is how I really keyed in on my time management. Cause what I do is I do I have a 50-year plan, a 30-year plan, and then down to, after basically it's 50, 25, and then 3 year, then 1 year, then quarterly, then monthly, and then like weekly down to daily. Okay. And
do you have dates on all those?
So everything that I've done has an actual specific date, like a date attached to that time with a year. So it's a date, month, year on each one of those, for when I started. So obviously, I want to get to where I want to go in 50, so that correlates to my 25-year plan. And my 25-year plan to my 3. Then my 1-year plan is more focused into goals that I can do that year, which I correlate into quarters. So I have 90-day goals. Those are the goals I rewrite every single day. Every day when I'm journaling, I rewrite my 90-day goals, because what the 90-day goal does is it allows me to create a warrior list on what I can do that day. So what can I do? And I do 5 tasks. So I take those 5 tasks. So like if I do a power, a passion, a purpose, and a production. Okay. So I have 4 goals. What can I do every single day to get to that power goal? I have a specific weight that I want to attain. So I know what to do that day on the workout matrix to get to that. So that's one of my taskers. You get what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like I schedule my time is now based on that warrior list of things to get done that day. And once that list is done, like once I hit those things that I need to do that day, then my time management is done, because now that rest of the time is freed up for me. So I do have a full-time job that I work. So obviously that is structured into appointments that I have to run where I go into a house. Okay. Around those times, earlier in the morning, before an appointment, and in the evening after all my appointments is where I schedule time for my mentorship. So like I'll have like somebody come, 1 or 2 people might call me on a Monday or a Wednesday or a Friday kind of deal. So then I have those time blocks as well. That time in between that time from when I wake up and I'm done with my gratitude and I'm done with my journaling from about 8 o'clock at night, because around 8 o'clock the phone goes off. The phone's completely off. I'm done.
Dude, your liar goes off earlier than that.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes. So that's one of the cases. Like when I get in the sauna, my phone goes off. When I do a new calm session, or a hardcore meditation session, the phone goes off. And then that's close to time at night, then my phone will go off. But if I can do that during the day, like if I don't have an appointment that I need to run that morning at 10, I'm doing that stuff at 10, 11, and noon. You know what I mean? Before lunchtime. So that allows me to have more time in the afternoon, because I just accomplished 3 of my daily taskers. So I only have 2 left for that day. And the one tasker that I do is my biggest thing is to uplift and motivate. Okay. That is a quarterly goal of mine. 1 person every single day. So what I do for that is I use the power of the cell phone, and I create a text message, and I send 1 text message to every 1 person every single day. Tell them what I'm thankful for. I tell them I'm here for them, what I've learned from them, just something that like reaches out. And it could be I've done it to coworkers, my wife, my parents, like different 1 person every single day. I do that for. So that's 1 task. You know what I mean? So that doesn't take up too much time. I sit there for about 5 minutes. I probably write it. I read it. How would I feel if I received this? I kind of attach my emotion to it. So even though it's through a phone, I still want sometimes to feel it. You know what I mean? Dude. So I reread it. Maybe this word, change, blah, 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 blah. And then I send it. And then I go about my day. So I went from very, very time constraint, like, all right, it is exactly 11 o'clock. I need to be doing this at this time, to no, I have daily goals that I can attain today. Let's just get those done, because when I'm not doing that, that allows my mind to be free. So then I can make time for my animals. I can make time for my kids. I can make time for the wife and things like that within my daily structure. So it allowed me not to feel caged, because that's like my word. That's my fear. That is the biggest fear I have in my life. And I talk to Tyler about it all the time. I don't want to be caged. I'm not an animal. Okay. Like I want to have,
eagles are free, bro.
I want to have freedom.
So wherever we want, man.
So like the more I can do to get that lifestyle where I'm completely free. Cause like right now with my full-time job, it's pretty freeing. Sometimes I have long drives that I have to do, but I can do other stuff during those drives. I can get on a coaching call during that drive. So I can kind of kill two birds with one stone in a way. But once I'm free of that, and then I'm doing more of what my passion is, then I become limitless, because then my time becomes limitless.
It doesn't even feel like you're working when you do the passion work. No. There's those like 70, 80-hour weeks, or they're a breeze when it's like something you enjoy doing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because my job, like I sell walk-in tubs for Kohler. So like when I go into somebody's house, like I'm there to help them. So I love it. Like I absolutely love it, because some of the people I meet might be have handicaps or disabilities or problems that this can actually elevate their life. So like it's awesome going in somewhere and being able to help somebody each and every day. And that's pretty much what actually spun my life around, is turning it into something where, hey, like every day I can actually
create habits, right?
I can go out and like make a difference in the world.
So what's your process? You have a habit you want to change. What is the process of changing it?
So I'm trying to get better at this, and I'm actually glad you guys are actually giving me some good ideas about how I can maybe I do revisit the journaling. Maybe I do take that. I've tried it.
You know what this is, dude? This is a magic pen, magic wand. The shit you write down, you start writing down everything you want, get real specific. It'll just start coming true, and it'll blow your mind. I get chills all the time. Just when something happens, and I like think back, I just have the thought like, man, I remember like spending weeks meditating about this and like programming my mind into like looking for those habits to be formed. So, but your habits, right?
Yeah. So I'll take something. Okay. So for instance, smoking. I recently quit smoking in
cigarettes.
I quit smoking cigarettes in 2020, I believe. Maybe it's all blur. It's been a while.
Last 2 years, dude. Feel like it was just like,
and I've quit smoking before. It's a habit. I've done it since probably 2010, 2009. So I've done it for a long time. And the ways I tried it before was to just quit. Just be like, okay, I'm going to quit. Put that mental blockade in my head. Maybe write down somewhere, and just usually within like 6 months to a year, I was buying cigarettes again, because something came up, life came up, I got upset, something happened. So
something triggered you
exactly
for your subconscious to want to grab that again.
So I tried something a little different this time, a little mob mentality. So all my friends smoke, right? And all my friends have tried to quit, and we're all in the same spot, and we all have the same mental state. So for smoking, I actually tried to like change the mentality of everyone around me to build this, or I would say break down this habit at the same time. And there was 4 of us, and we all quit smoking. I got them to all within like 3 or 4 days of each other. Actually, I was the third person to actually quit. So my one buddy got so motivated, he actually like led the charge. Yeah, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, and as far as I know, I mean, he lives in Alaska and Texas. He flies back and forth, so he might be smoking again. But me and my good friend Zach and Darian, we all have not smoked. I unfortunately am still vaping, but for me, it's a ritual. So I've replaced like the act of smoking with the ritual of just like having that me time. So I can go outside, I can hit this a few times, I can take a step back and look at that. So that was one way.
So you're not like walking through buildings and like, I need to hit this
No,
and blow
no,
out
no,
this
no, no.
massive
Yeah.
No,
puff of cloud.
Yeah,
and just
no.
like, and you're just doing it to do it.
Exactly. Yes. At this point, I've changed the habit from something I had to do and craved into something that I now have control over.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of
So you took control of your vice.
exactly, yeah. And so that worked really well for that one. Let's see of another habit that I've been trying to make. So the waking up early. I've actually been because I've been having trouble with it. So I've been trying for 3 or 4 weeks now, and I'm achieving it. I'm going back like 20 to 30 minutes each
Good.
day, each
Good.
week.
Yeah, dude. That's how you do it.
But what I do for that is before I go to bed, I'll sit there and I sit in bed and I'll set my alarms. And I usually set like 2 or 3 because I'm a very active sleeper. So like I can be fully awake having a conversation and just be asleep, like not have any idea. Like I'll turn my alarm off sometimes, and my wife, like, she nudges me and she's like, "Are you actually awake?" And I'll say yes, and I'm asleep.
You're still sleeping.
Yeah.
Like you have a weird connection with your avatar body. Dude.
Yeah. So I'll sit there and I'll just sit down and I'll sit to bed and I'll close my eyes and I'll say, okay, I've got a great internal clock. So I'll sit there and I'll say, I'm going to wake up at this time. I'm going to wake up at this time. I'm going to wake up at this time. And I'll sort of like, I'll internalize that as much as I can. And that way, when the alarms go off, the first thing I'm thinking about is the last thought I had before I went to bed, is that I'm going to wake up at this time.
Yeah.
And it has been a struggle still, but I'm forcing myself through it, and I'm trying to build that habit. And it's so if I go back and forth, like say one day I'm start waking up at 2:30 or 3, and then the next day I fall back to like 3:30 where I finally get out of bed. I'm like moving that final marker of like the latest point down each time.
Do you, because you just like, it just kind of hit me like when you were talking about that. Do you, because like I kind of was experiencing the same thing where I was like, I wanted to wake up earlier, but I was like sleeping in. And do you think there's any like correlation between like, sleeping beside somebody and like that being like a reason of not like mentally not leaving the bed? Right. Cause like when I was in a relationship, it was like I slept until like 6 o'clock. It'd be like 6 o'clock is when I would wake up. Dude, if I make it that far now, like I'm like 3, 4 o'clock easily. And I just wake up. It's just like a natural wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think like you laying next to your wives is like something that like might want to keep you in bed longer?
So I actually don't cuddle with my wife, which she hates, but I cuddle with my dogs. So yeah,
That sounds like my life.
if I wake up and like my youngest Dalmatian is just like sort of like in my arms and he's just like asleep, I just look at that and I'm like, I'm sure it's gonna be the same way from when I get my son and he's laying right there in the bassinet next to the bed. I'm gonna look at that and be like, nah, I'm just gonna enjoy this. I'm just gonna enjoy this a little bit longer.
That's once you get to like where you have your schedule set, your wake up schedule set, that internal clock set, that is when like I started really like slowing down the wake up. Like I'll lay there for like 15, 20 minutes and I'll instantly just sit there and talk to the universe and thank the universe for, allowing me to wake up and breathe again. Right.
Yeah.
Just start right there with just, I'm able to enter this body again. And then just go through, all the great things that have been happening. And then what do I want to accomplish today? What do I need to accomplish to get to where the goals are? So a lot of my rituals are like very beginning and very end, very beginning of the day and very end.
Yeah.
I do it like as you're in those theta brainwave states where you're more suggestible, right before bed. Cause it's like are you going to sleep? Are you really going to sleep? Like where like your mind never just stops. It's still going. So when you get into your gratitude right before bed of what just happened today and what you want to correct, where you fell from grace, because everybody falls from grace every day. It's just how much do you look at what you fall from grace? And like, if you see yourself slipping, like I got angry there and I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Boom. That's a correction. Now you do that over and over again. Then you correct it. You set new neurons and new pathways. And it's just, that's why I like to do mine very beginning, very end.
Yeah.
There are times in the middle of the day that I like to, I love a good midday meditation session, dude, just in like some sun.
Yeah. That's the best when I can when I can go out in the sun, I go naked.
Mhm.
I'm a huge believer in getting sun on your balls.
Right, dude?
And
Gotta sun the balls in the butthole, dude.
And so when it's like nice summertime out, like that's like the best. Like going out there for like 20 minutes and just completely like. There's been so many times that I've been like in my backyard and like people have come to the house and I'm like, "Are you serious?" Like,
dude, when I did it on top of the mountain the one time, bro, I was so nervous the whole time because I'm like trying to like settle into this, and it's like you're in the most vulnerable position because your like legs are up in the air, and you're like trying to get the sun on your butthole and shit, and like you're doing this breathing, and it's like somebody could walk right over this rock right now and just like catch you here.
Yep.
But it was like, no, I'm gonna sit. And the sun's just like perfectly coming down through the trees.
I know, it's amazing. During the winter, I have a Juve, like it's a red light therapy, like in my house, so in my bedroom. So it's a lot more.
Why do you sun your balls, dude?
So there's a lot
because people are probably like listening, like, what the fuck?
So there's been a lot of research on sunning your balls that just helps the vitamin D intake. Like it's just like a good point because it doesn't get it. Like typically people wear shorts or don't have that area covered because it's supposed to be like a no area.
Because humans are like we're scared to show ourselves.
Exactly. So we she bit the fucking apple and now we're scared to go out without a maple leaf on us. And so basically that, and then there's a lot of research that's been done for it to help testosterone. Not necessarily that I want like a bunch of testosterone in my body to, be the super hulking dude, but it's good. Like it's good to have.
It's good for you because as you get older as a man, it starts to lower.
Exactly. Yeah. And that vitality, I want that. I love waking up with a hard on, ready to attack my wife every morning. Like that's me. Like that's
part of your masculinity.
It's part of my
right?
masculinity. Yeah. And so ever since I started, I can almost feel it. Like, I think, like, to be honest, to be completely unfiltered, raw, the first time that I sunned my balls and had sex afterwards was probably one of the biggest loads I've ever had in my entire life. Like, hands down, one of the best sexual experiences I've probably ever had, and it continuously does get better. And you can even text my wife and ask. Like, I think the more healthier I get, and the more ancestral that my life becomes, the more enjoyable the experience comes between us. Because it went from probably like just what I consider fucking in the beginning of our relationship to after we're married, more like kind of love making, but still unraw, filtered. And then the kids came, so it kind of slowed down a little bit, like hormones with the pregnancy body and all that kind of stopped for a little. And then now that both my wife and I are back to losing weight and getting healthy and back on the right track, it's become more
fun
of our energies
playful,
too.
Dude, yeah.
Yes, it's a lot more playful, and our energies are connecting a lot more. So it's been an incredible experience, and yeah, I think sunning has helped.
Have you done like Wim Hof breathing?
Yes.
And like while you're like, I don't want to get like too in depth.
Like before, yes.
Like during it.
No, never during.
Try it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Have you ever done anything like that, like Wim Hof?
No. And
I breathing exercise. Remember we were in the creek. We were in the cold creek, and I was like, "Hey guys, you got to do like the breathing."
Yeah, I do some breathing. I would say I'm completely untrained in all manners of like breathing techniques. The only thing that I will do is sort of I'll just feel what feels comfortable. Okay. If I sort of get to a point in my day where I sort of like feel like some, negativity rising up and everything, I'll just sort of focus on, slowing myself down, getting it out. I have not done any research into breathing yet, so I'm not a professional in any sense. But it does help me to take that step back. I am jealous though, because I have not sunned my balls, and now you're sort of like,
dude, it's such a great experience, dude.
Incredible.
You do breathing while you do it, so you're like the idea, like at least when I do it, right? The idea is like you're breathing it up through your butthole, basically. It's like you want to act like you're breathing through your butt, and then you bring it up, follow it up to your head, and then you breathe out through your butt again. So you went into like what you thought, with the vitamin D and all that kind of stuff, right? So I look at it as, where is creation? The creation. It's in your testicle, really. Is where creative energy is. It's where you create life from.
Yeah.
So you're getting energy into that creation zone, and then you're just breathing it up into your body after that, and it's expanding out through you. That's kind of how I do it, like how I visualize it when I do it.
Which is incredible.
But try it, dude.
I can't remember the
It's
last
weird.
time
It's
I've
the
actually
first time
been
it's like
fully
weird.
naked in the sun.
You got to find like
Really?
find a private area.
Yeah, and do it.
And then once you do it like a couple times, you're like, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
The first few, you're like, is somebody gonna walk out on me right now?
Yeah, the first time because it's so
it's
taboo.
weird.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
It's weird.
So like the first time, you probably will have like a couple of those thoughts, but after about 3 or 4 times, you're gonna be like, why have I not?
I've been out here for 45 minutes.
This is incredible. And on that topic, too, do go slow, okay? Because obviously testicles have not had sun on them for a long time.
You can burn it real quick.
You can burn it very quick.
Very quick.
So go slow, like a couple minutes, till you build up and things like that. But yeah, I'd say give it a go, dude.
Yeah, dude. Don't even tell your wife. Just let your wife catch you, dude.
Yeah.
Just let your wife just catch you.
Yeah, because Lauren at first didn't know what I was doing until she walked out and she goes, "Whoa, what are you doing?"
What the fuck is my husband doing right now?
So yeah, it's fun. It's a good time.
With the mindset side of things, right? You kind of hit on you learned from somebody on psychology, right?
For trading, yeah.
Who is this guy?
So his name's Sam Cavanaugh. He does Sam Cavanaugh. He does a trading company called KB Trading. They're based out in Glasgow. And so he does the educational stuff on how to do how they trade and everything. But he pushes a lot about the psychology of it and understanding that you're going to lose, how to plan your risks and rewards, everything like that. And I've sort of taken that mindset of trading into my everyday life, which I think has helped me day to day, understanding that I'm not going to accomplish everything I want to accomplish, and that's okay as long as I can do really effective things that outweigh the goals that I didn't hit that day. Because I struggle with it. I struggle with reaching everything I want to do every day. And I think that's part of me still working on myself and getting myself to a point where I can, I think I set unachievable goals every day, and I set myself up for that. Not unachievable. I set too many achievable goals and I fall short.
Okay.
So that's, again, I'm constantly evolving, and I've just started getting to this point where I feel pretty comfortable with where I'm going with it. Probably a few months ago, probably maybe the halfway point of last year. So it's still a journey for me a lot, but
yeah, because you're kind of describing kind of what I was feeling as well, is I just was putting too much on my plate, and I need to get this done. I got to get these things done. And then when I didn't, it was like I failed. And that's a deeper problem, right?
Yep.
That's more of a, you got to look back farther into, the feeling of not good enough, right? I went through that for years. I didn't feel like I was good enough, but you have to look at the progress, right? I can look back 10 years ago and see the dark hole that I was in and see where I'm at now. Yeah, I went through some dips through the times, but that's just life. Ups and downs is what you do. For the time management, and you're just figuring it out, dude. Just be less. Don't be so hard on yourself. That's when I stopped being hard on myself, and it was okay, I did that today. No problem. We know tomorrow we're not going to do that. And just enjoying the journey, and just really, really, you got to love yourself, the good, the bad, the ugly. And that's truly where the strength and change comes, is when you love yourself in the present moment, knowing that you're going somewhere, and that you've looked back and you've seen that, hey, I went through some shit, and I did some shitty things, and other people did some shitty things to me, because that's what it is people do shitty things to you.
Yep. And
you do shitty things. That's what happens. It's not somebody's not purposely out there just saying, fuck you.
Yeah.
No, it's it's just their role in humanity and the rise in consciousness that we're on. With, the mindset that you've learned from him and turn that into your life, though, what would you say is the number one thing you can take out of what you've implemented? What is the most important thing you've implemented?
The most important thing that for me personally that I've been able to implement is thinking of things over a long-term basis.
Okay.
So looking at life and looking at the changes I'm going through and how I'm trying to get into better time management, trying to get into a better mindset, all that stuff, looking at it over not a sample size of maybe 20 days or a sample size of 30 days, but looking at it as a sample size of, a couple hundred days or, going down the road a couple thousand days and looking back at that and saying, okay, were there bad days? Were there days I could have done better? Were there days, I did too much? And looking back at that and being like, okay, but where am I at as an average? If I was just to mean everything out and just like average it out, is it good? Am I doing what I want to do over the long term? And looking at it like that instead of trying to like every day, like make this like, every day being the most important day and looking at it as like, I'll get there.
Yeah.
Like I will get there. I will compound. And I know this is like, it's weird because I sort of adapted it from trading psychology, but I'm going to compound these positive things I'm doing every day. So every day I might take some losses, but I'm compounding my wins and I'm compounding them and they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And the more you win, the easier it is to win.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, you're just, dude, you're far ahead. Like I know, like for me, it took a long time for me to be like, all right, dude, you're farther ahead than what you really think. It's most of the time you're holding yourself back. It's like you're so hard on what you're not doing, or it's like, I'm sure you go through days where you're like, man, I had a freaking awesome day.
Oh yeah.
I killed it. And it's like, well, are you still working towards it? Because if you do it one day, that means you're doing it. It's like, yeah, I might have fallen off track a little bit, but now we're bringing it back in through, habits that we put in place to trigger back into what we need to get done. So like intentions and stuff, like you set those like 6 months, like this is what I want to focus on. A year from now, focus on.
Yeah. So I put out like, and again, I do it mentally. I'm going to try journaling. I'll touch base with you. I will keep you guys updated on my journaling journey, but I'm going to give it after this an honest
It's hard
try.
to stay consistent. Yeah. He's probably more consistent with the journaling. I do a lot of internal.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. I do a lot of like sitting. We have a similar brain functions as far as like how we operate. But I do a lot of just, I think about things and then what I need to do to reform them. But I do a lot of stuff with the mic then too. You see them all the time pop up. I'll do like little journal entries of just like let me just release these thoughts out of my mind for the day. Yeah. That helps. So maybe if you're not a journaler, you have a mic at home.
Oh yeah.
Dude, just get on and just leave yourself
like little voice.
Yeah.
I mean, even your phone.
Like Avatar. Like Avatar, you remember after he'd come out of the Avatar body, he would leave the journal. Like he would like do the video, documentary of like what he was feeling and everything like that. Yeah. But yeah, I would try that. Let's final thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. So final thoughts. I would say the biggest takeaway would be to no matter what kind of emotion that you're feeling, even positive emotions, because I know we talked about a lot of negative emotions, but even when you're at your most joyous and you're out at your excitement, let other people around you know. Like, don't just, hold that in. Yes, I'm having a great day. This is amazing. And then you go to bed. Like, let your spouse know, let your significant other know, let your kids know. Like, just let people around you know, hey, I'm having an amazing day. Because then you never know, it might boost their day up if they're not having a good day. Or you tell them, hey, I'm having a shit day. This is why. And then they can help you. Mm-hmm. They can say, well, why? And question it. And then you can think, well, this happened and this happened. Well, that's not bad, because you probably think it's the worst thing that happened because it happened to you. But at the same time, someone could be like, dude, that was just one day, like one little thing. It's a hair drop in a haystack. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So I say the biggest takeaway is always surround yourself with people that you can talk to, that are open and ready to accept and help you survive this amazing, incredible life. What about yourself?
We'll let Jay go first, and I'll finish it off. Yep. Yeah. Any type of final thoughts on anything that we went over today, things that you want to kind of
Yeah, I would
out
say from my personal experience, don't be afraid to be honest with yourself, to accept personal change, to change your surroundings. And if you are in a dark place, and I think all three of us have been in dark places, and a lot of people that are listening to this have been in dark places, don't be afraid to reach out. It is, not unmanly to ask your friend for help or tell them how you're feeling. So don't be afraid to talk to people, find that help.
Yeah.
You kind of hit on something about like changing your environment that we didn't really get into, which is massive on, changing habits. You have to change the people that you go around, because they trigger, things in your subconscious mind that trigger the old habits. So when you are trying to create massive change, not just, a little habit here or there, but massive change, like full lifestyle change, you have to get rid of pretty much everybody most of the time. And that's the hardest part, because they are a part of you. There's a sense of them on you. There's literally like pieces of them that you have to peel off to find who you truly are as a person. And it's not until you go in and you do that work, you go in and you sit with yourself, no drugs, no alcohol, and you find, your deepest, darkest demons, and you start to go to battle with them. At that point, that's when you start to really change. And it all starts internally with you, where you're at, and if you really want to change. The biggest changes, they cost the most. If you want that type of reward out of growth, you're going to have to give something. You're going to have to lose things, and it's going to get scary. It's going to get dark. And you have to smile through it, because you're going to come through it. You've been through it. You've been through it. When you get to that light side of things, you'll thank God for every single dark thing you ever went through, because you're going to turn into such an amazing person. So just keep going. Everybody is insecure. Everybody has fears. Everybody has negative thoughts. It's correcting them, turning them into positive thoughts, and passing that on to other people, because that's how we grow humanity. Joey, thank you, dude. This was an awesome episode. You're the first one we've had on. This was a good one to have as a guest. Subscribe.
Yes, please.
Share.
Comment.
If you have any questions or, want help with time management, mindset things, you can DM Josh and I.
Yeah.
We have mentorship programs that also, we also have coaching programs as well too.
Yep.
Give us a shout. We appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.